DFS Show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show, preview show for this Friday, 3-game mates. How about that, James? 3 games on a Friday. I don't think we've had many short slate Fridays in our days for the NBA.
No, but bravo.
We could probably use it. Those of you, Nikola Jokic checking back into a game very quickly in the fourth quarter here. He is useful for the lines. 20% Nikola Jokic here tonight, whereas we're watching the Thursday slate. Currently sitting at 22 points, 21 rebounds, 15 assists, a block and a steal, 80 fantasy points and counting for the
and one full court heave.
Yes. If you have not already seen the highlights, I'm sure you have. You're all basketball fans. From the other free throw line, one-handed money, just not even a bank shot, just swished it.
Just cash.
Quite impressive. But we'll turn the page to 3 games here. Portland, Charlotte. Portland's on a back-to-back. Cleveland, Philly, New Orleans, Memphis. New Orleans without Zion. Philly without Embiid. Cleveland without Mobley. Charlotte maybe without both LaMelo and Miles Bridges. They also lost Brandon Miller for the season-ending wrist surgery for him. So Mark Williams rise up in this matchup against Portland. Portland did rest DeAndre Ayton on the front leg of that back-to-back. The 50% of you that didn't play Rob Williams, I don't know what you were doing. Rob Williams had a big day starting, even in his limited minutes there on Thursday. But Ayton likely back. Mark Williams has been unbelievable. So for 3 games, those are kind of the storylines. Memphis playing 16 guys. Going to have to deal with that matchup against the Pelicans here. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe, Philly, Cleveland, maybe they could be some level of competitiveness. Probably not, though, right, with the way those games are going. That game has a 9.5 point spread. Memphis and New Orleans, 241.5 game total there. Memphis giving 11.5. Charlotte actually a home favorite here, giving 4.5, 221.5 total. But if Ball and Bridges sit, that may end up flipping there. So your top overall spend up on the slate is Ball. Maxey's up to 10K, John Morant 9K. So your top 3 players overall on the slate are also at the point guard position. Ball, Maxey, Morant. How would you rank them, Grande?
I think I would rank them how they're priced, but I wouldn't mind flipping Morant and Maxey either. I think with how good Ja Morant has looked over the last few games, I think, or at least 3 of the last 4, I think you can make a case that Ja would be second over LaMelo Ball or over Maxey. But I think realistically, I'd probably just rank them how they're priced, but I'm okay with the flip from Morant to Maxey as well.
I mean, listen, 32 minutes for Morant since he came back.
Yes.
48 fantasy points while taking just 9 shots against Charlotte. Had the double-double. Again, that was a game they won by 12. We've now highlighted it a few times. You mentioned the unplayable text that I sent you with the screenshot of them playing a whole bunch of guys, and they did it again the other day. They're just playing a lot of guys, but if Morant's going to get 30, 32 minutes, I said on the show, he can go for 50 in those minutes. He's that type of player.
Yep.
Now you're talking about a 240 game total. The Pelicans, I'm willing to spend, the savings there. Obviously, if Ball is in and if Bridges sits, you could be looking at 35 shot attempts from LaMelo Ball here. And you'll want all of that against Portland. So we'll have to see what the starting lineups come out. Charlotte, obviously, it's 7. 8 p.m. is the latest game on the slate, so nothing too bad. We should hopefully have all that injury news. You drop down into the next tier. You have DeJounte at $8,400. You have McCollum, obviously, there as well at $76. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, those 4 plays there. Same teams, but they both get a lot of run. Obviously, the guard plays big time. McCollum, the last couple of games for him. No Zion. We know the usage rate can go in his favor.
Yeah, man. I mean, the Pelicans are really interesting. No Zion. I think that's what stands out to me right off the bat. Those would be the primary targets for me, the Pelicans here.
Mhm.
And yeah, like obviously Cleveland's appealing. Donovan Mitchell just voted All-Star starter.
Yeah.
Big nod. I guarantee Darius Garland wants back that ending in Houston. I don't know if you saw it, but it was
Yeah,
a
he missed 2 of 3.
travesty. Yeah, travesty for him. So I'm assuming he wants a little get back there. So I think they're all playable. I will say there's just the New Orleans game environment is just simply better,
Yeah.
and you're just simply removing Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson from the floor. That is a lot for everyone else to have. And
Mhm.
we've seen McCollum nuke and we've seen DeJounte nuke in each of the last 2 games that Zion has sat. So, yeah, McCollum 2% usage bump. Just looking at things now, 29.7% usage rate, John. If you
Yeah.
just take Ingram and Zion off the floor for those for McCollum,
Yeah.
um,
And I
DeJounte,
mean, again, it was Utah, right?
right?
So
Well, I think
they're week one.
he what game did yeah obviously right the Utah game, but still I mean 240 implied points if they're going to stay close. McCollum in his 29% usage rate
I agree. Yeah.
and Murray at his 20. I'll round them both up. McCollum 30, Murray 28, both over 1.1 or 1.2 fantasy points per
Yeah.
minute. Both are great plays.
Just elite. Portland, I mean, listen, you've kind of hit on it. If Anthony Simon's the guy that's active and starting, he's the usage rate man, right? So Scoot's been going to the bench, and Simons has been the go-to man here. $6,400. Like I would go Simons in this spot over Scoot. All things considered here.
Yep. And we don't know who's going to sit because Simons has come into the last couple of slates questionable.
Yeah.
And so maybe he continues to play through it. Maybe he doesn't. But it does obviously, it is hard to get to Scoot. He played 14 minutes tonight, John. Like it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Now he fouled out in 14 minutes. So like that's another thing in itself.
But we saw like the minutes were great, but we saw once Simons came back into the lineup, the shot attempts went away.
Yes.
The overall production was kind of iffy there. So
right.
Simons for sure. And then obviously it's a small slate, so you hit the value really quickly. If there's no LaMelo Ball, obviously there's Michic here. We have the Cleveland guards. We'll see. LeVert had played the other day. You have him, Jerome. If someone's out, we'll see what happens. And then Mr. Luke Kennard knocked down 7 threes. The benefit, I guess, to Memphis playing a bunch of guys is that a lot of guys see the floor. Kennard's an early sub for them, and he plays 26 minutes in 2 of the last 3 games.
So he and Aldama were the first 2 off the bench here.
Yeah, Aldama got hurt in this game too, right?
Aldama sick, illness, and I believe he is questionable. So we have Aldama questionable. We have Jake LaRavia. LaRavia is the one who got hurt in that game or didn't play. I forget what it was. LaRavia didn't play, and Aldama got sick, didn't play. Luke Kennard, John, was in the closing lineup for Memphis in this game. So just consider if he gets hot. I mean, he's just going to be on the floor, right? Has a path to more minutes to begin with. Gigi Jackson's limited. No Jake LaRavia, possibly no Santi Aldama, and there's no Marcus Smart. There's already minutes to be had for Luke Kennard. So if he's making shots, he is very hard to stop. No one really answered my question, but the trivia I put out on my Twitter, he is the 3rd greatest 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA per percentage. History of the NBA. Luke Kennard.
Well, he is shooting 48% from 3.
That's a good number. That's a good
knocked
number.
down 7 threes. I texted you. I was like, "Have you seen what Luke Kennard did in his first 9 minutes? He had 5 threes. So, you got that going for you. Shooting guard again. A lot of these guys we touched on, but Trey Murphy, like almost the same thing.
Yep.
There's 3 guys in New Orleans you're playing. It's their big 3 plays. Like that's where you're going in this spot. They're just going to fire a bunch of shots. They're going to take a lot of threes. Murphy's obviously been chipping in the stocks lately, which has been huge, for him as well. So $8,200 Murphy. Paul George came back 28 minutes in that blowout loss. He was fine in the 28 minutes. They lost by 30, 35. So if this game stays competitive, you get better production out of Paul George here.
I will say Cleveland has hit a little bit of a rut. They were winning every game and now they've lost a couple. So, and things have been a little more competitive. So maybe Paul George and Tyrese Maxey could just keep them close in this game.
Sure. Mid-tier range again, there's Bane, then there's Oubre, Sharp, guys that we haven't touched on. Again, smaller slate. So, a lot of these guys have dual position eligibility. We did talk about Bane though, right? Like he is a guy that the minutes aren't really being impacted for him. He plays more than the rest of the crew. So $7,900 for Desmond Bane, 34 minutes against Charlotte, had 42 fantasy points, back-to-back games now, 42 fantasy points with a fully healthy team. And can certainly keep running back to that well if you want.
100% agree. I like Desmond Bane quite a bit in tournaments, and I probably like McCollum and like the Pelicans guys a little bit more. Yeah. But to be fair to Desmond Bane, he's the one in the better spot, like undoubtedly.
Yeah, price wise, he's cheaper than Morant. He's cheaper than Jaren Jackson Jr. Right? So you're just.
Well, I was saying, just comparing him to the Pelicans at the price, like at the position with him in the same game. I still lean that direction, sure. But I do like Bane quite a bit for a safe floor.
Yep. Again, I mentioned Oubre, 27 minutes in that blow, but had another 20 fantasy points. He's probably going to be on his way to another 30 fantasy point game at 6K. Nick Smith Jr., 31 minutes. Didn't really have the greatest of games. It did take 10 more shots.
Yep.
If they're without everybody.
Yeah.
Is he 90%, 95% rostered? Is he that anyways on a 3-game slate?
He's going to be really popular to begin with. Former first-round pick, really high usage player anytime he stepped on the floor. Obviously, he wasn't great, but he was also 3,200. So he still paid off with whatever you needed. There's a legit chance he'd be second. If LaMelo and Miles Bridges sat, he'd be second in shot attempts here. Like Mark Williams is obviously first. We know that. Right. But Nick Smith might take 15 to 20 shots if there's no LaMelo, and even if only one of them sit, Nick Smith is still in line for a heavy workload.
Yep. Obviously, again, you have guys like Strus, you have LeVert. Yeah, you've called out Eric Gordon a few times. They only played 19 minutes again, blowout, but it was actually okay enough in those 19 minutes.
Yep.
Is Hawkins getting some run? Getting some run.
Dude, he's playing without Zion. I think Jordan Hawkins is not going to play like heavy minutes, but we know what his ceiling can be when his shot's falling. He is someone who can fill it up fast.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else here for you?
They did extend it. Keep this in mind. They did extend Sam Merrill 23 minutes in a close game. No LeVert. So if he's playing well, they're not afraid to go to him if he's spacing the floor well.
Okay. Small forward. Again, a lot of these guys I'm sure we've touched on. Denny, $7,000. We had expected, I think, a bigger game out of him against Orlando. Now that was a blowout aided. 13, 5 and 5, 26 fantasy points for him there. If you think this game is more competitive, I bet he gets back up to 35 minutes and not 26 minutes here.
Yep.
$7,000 for him, looking pretty good. Sharp. We'll see if someone's in or out of the lineup. 24 minutes for him. Hard to trust when he's not in that starting lineup. Where would you look to go? A small forward looking a little bleak here.
Yeah, Jalen Wells is fine. The minutes have been fine, right? 24 or 26, 29, 35. 4,400 is going to start. Was in foul trouble last game. If there's no Santi Aldama, I feel really secure with the minutes. So Jalen Wells, Strus, you can play Nick Smith here. I mean, Cody Martin could be in line for like more, just simply more, depending on who's in and who's out. Dude, I said it to you a couple times. Dean Wade is just a good fantasy play if LeVert sits.
Yeah.
We look at like all this stuff. Like clearly, Strus, there's something that's like not allowing him to get to that next level of minutes, right? Like there's something because he's 28 max. There's 3 guys out like in his positional range that like he just can't leapfrog. And Dean Wade continues to start and play really well. I like Wade. I think Niang is fine for tournaments. We've
the minutes for Wade, though, are, like you mentioned, kind of solidify him a little bit more there.
Agreed.
Power forward position, a lot of injuries. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. is $8,100. Again, he is going to play 30 to 32 minutes probably. I guess if there's no Santi, maybe that gives him a little bit of a longer leash.
Yeah.
In this one, he's obviously been great. It's a great matchup for him. I wouldn't shy away at $8,100. Just know that we're not getting 35 minutes at this point, it seems like. So, dealing with that. If Bridges is in, we'd go there at $7,400.
Man, that Triple J price is crazy. 8,100.
It's coming down quick.
Oof.
If they ever just decide to give him an extra like 4 minutes, he might just break the slate there. So,
right.
Jeremy Grant, 34 minutes tonight. It's still like he's fine.
No, he's fine. Right, last piece in.
Yabu.
Drummond's out.
Yeah,
Drummond's already out.
So you got Yabusele, 5K against Cleveland.
What version do you get? He's been good lately.
He's been okay against them in 2 games. So stretches the floor if he knocks his shots down. Again, we're expecting Ayton to play, but say Ayton doesn't play, you got Rob Will at 42.
I'd almost guarantee Rob Will doesn't play.
You think he sits? You think you get like a Duop Breath or a
Jabari Walker. I would almost put like a large sum. I'd put a large sum of money down that Rob Williams doesn't play back to back.
You got 24 minutes tonight. And gave you a pretty good Rob Will number. They should trade him right now.
He was great.
Rob Will value.
He was great. Through 5 stocks, 12 rebounds in 24 minutes.
Right?
Trade him
now before you like wakes up and his knees are twice the size. It's like, I don't know. It's possible.
Twice the size.
Would that not shock you if you woke up all of a sudden his knees are just swollen, full of fluid?
Rob Williams out for the next month.
Yeah. Remember when they said like they wanted to play Josh Okogie as part of like their rotation? Like,
well, they also couldn't say like we acquired him to just sit him on the bench. So
yeah, 3,200, 19 and 13 minutes there. If he was to like crack the starting lineup though, because Bridges is out or like something like that, I'd give him a look.
Yeah, I would too.
Center, Mark Williams is $7,800. This man,
dude.
This man, 52, 57, 54, 58, and 3. 4 of the last 5. He gave you 40 against Dallas as well as like the low point of that production stretch there since the trade of Nick Richards there.
I did the same thing. I did the same exact thing.
He'll be ridiculously owned.
I think he had 30 actual in the second half, if I remember correctly. That's what
I remember you like texting me. You're like, look at his second half. He had 20 whatever at the time you told me. So,
I think, did you say Nick Smith would be? I have a hard time believing Mark Williams is the highest roster player at the slate.
Isn't the highest?
Yeah, isn't. Like, I'd have a hard time believing it.
Yeah, because like, where else would he go? Obviously, Jared Allen is in an elite spot if he's going up against Yabusele.
He was so good yesterday, by the way, I said it, like, just need to get him the minutes. Just get him the minutes, and he's going to smash. And he did. But like you said, it's Yabusele, Adam Bona are the 2, Pete Nance. Like, those are the 3. That's the big room. The room that Philly has in the front court. I mean, he's going to cook all 3 of those. So, yeah, Mark Williams is your chalk center. Jared Allen's like your clear pivot.
Then Daniel Tice, 37 minutes.
Macy's back.
Is he back?
Yeah, Macy's back. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess Macy would be your other play then.
Yeah, probably going to some Macy here.
And that's largely it, right? Nothing else here.
Yeah, 3 centers in Memphis, no shot you play any of them. They close with Brandon Clark, and even that, like, my guess would be Brandon Clark is like Garner's ownership because he's been pretty good and he's really cheap. But I don't think you can play anything else.
All right, let's get our lineup going. Mark Williams and Jokic, by the way, 40 seconds left in that game. Denver's up 7. He's got 97.5 fantasy points. So
Will he get there?
we'll see if he can get the 100 fantasy points or not. So we got that. We got Nick Smith. What do we do here? Those are the two auto plugs for us. We liked McCollum, point guard, I guess. Go Murphy, small forward.
Dean.
He
Yeah,
didn't really
Dean
have a lot of
Wade.
value. I guess that's where we kind of run in. Wade.
Dean Wade.
Yeah, Wade. $6,100. I guess Kennard. All right, get that side of it. 69 forward and a util.
69 forward and a util. PG Yabusele.
Yeah. I was gonna say, would you rather George or Jackson?
Probably PG, just simply because that opportunity is going to be,
Yeah. I guess we probably just end up landing on Yabusele anyways here. $800 left over, but McCollum, Smith, Murphy, Wade, Williams, Kennard, George, Yabusele. It's a short slate. It's okay to have some money left over. It's where we're at with it here. Would you make any adjustments? Anybody were not in our lineup that you want to get to?
What do we got? $800 at the guard spot. It's not even anything I can do. No, that should be fine. I mean, I still probably like want to get to Karis LeVert.
Yeah.
If you played LeVert over Kennard and then went up from Yabusele, what would that be? LeVert's 4K.
63 would get us Oubre. A little bit better.
Yeah, I would probably do that.
Okay. McCollum, Smith, Murphy, Wade, Williams, LeVert, George, and Oubre. $300 left over there. We'll be back again 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have a short show for y'all. 3 games here. We'll get you ready. All the latest news and updates for this 3-game main slate. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. Come join the family. 7-day free trial still going on. fantasystorm.com/win. Get in our Discord. Talk to us all day. Follow us on Twitter. Again, leave some comments, like, subscribe, share. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you later.